Hey there, this is Lee Matos, Senior Support Engineering Manager, Americas East, with a jam-packed presentation for you today. This is around the work we've been doing with senior managers and support engineers around EPIC 130. Here's an update for April. Here's some of the results that we've seen from managers and where we want to go forward. So strap in and let's dive in together. So I want to just reiterate that one of the main goals of EPIC 130 is around connecting managers with the problems that engineers are having, both technical and process pain points, and working to solve them, right? We also set out some goals in that where we wanted to achieve 95% assignment rate, where we wanted to achieve 95% FRT SLA, and to deliver against those as part of that process. But the real key core that we're focused on is this connection and then delivering results. So I wanted to take that minute to elaborate here around the helping hierarchy that we added to the handbook a few weeks ago. This idea where support engineers help solve customer problems, managers solve the support engineer problems, senior managers help solve scaling problems, and Tom Cooney helps to solve company problems. So with that, this is important because Lyle and I are trying to make sure that we're creating an environment where managers are helping engineers solve these problems. So we've asked managers to join in with engineers, to pay attention, to help us understand what managers are seeing, and then we're going to try and solve those problems. So that's what this deck's about. So if you're a manager watching this in AMER, you should be familiar with what you're going to see. If you're a manager outside of AMER, this may be some new information for you about what we're looking at into an AMER. If you're an engineer inside of AMER, these should be some pain points that you're feeling. And if they're not, talk to your manager. Talk to the manager that's been involved in your crew because there's some sort of disconnect. I think these represent the challenges well based on what I've seen, but I just want to emphasize that this is the moment where we're trying to make sure that Lyle and I are doing our part in AMER to build an environment where managers can be successful at identifying and executing against these challenges. Support engineers feel supported in the face of these challenges. So before we dive into those challenges, I just want to give some data, right? You know me, I love data, and it's middling. We're not seeing any real material impact in AMER or all regions based on managers getting involved in crew. In some ways, that's good because that means that there wasn't this sort of like managers came in and changed everything and then all the stuff is shifted and we saw amazing results and this kind of, it's not that. Managers got involved, things didn't change much. So in some ways that's good because hopefully that means managers are listening and learning and understanding and helping, right? And then we're now going to be able to start to change with these elements here. In other ways, it's a little bit sad to me. We have challenges that we still want to get this consistently above 95 and we're struggling to hit that. So that's something to think about. I also wanted to bring that data into just global, right? Because we're talking about AMER, but we pay attention globally, right? We break it down to see the impact of the processes that we're using, but we do want to pay attention globally. And we've seen a small raise in the floor globally, but the average 4-week average of the pre-period versus the post-period, there was a small drop. And I don't think that this was related to anything besides the natural ebbs and flows, right? If we do this, if we did a random sampling across the years, I'm sure we'd see ebbs and flows like this. So at the moment, neutral on the quantitative side. Now we're about to dive in to the qualitative side, and this is where we're about to start to make changes. And I've created issues here, and I'm going to dive in. We're going to talk about all of these. NRT FRT, AMER crew Slack channel, splitting into AMER East and West crew, and async collaboration. Right, so we're just going to start with this top one here, which I think is the biggest and hopefully most impactful. Suspending NRT for AMER region tickets for 2 weeks. So in this attempt, we told managers, focus on FRT. We told engineers, hey, we want you to focus on FRT. Assign tickets and manage them. Don't worry about the NRT clocks, right? But we still saw the tension. We still saw the internalized experience where we still value that clock and that red, and it's hard to tell FRT versus NRT sometimes. You just see that red and you say, I need to solve that one. And in the past, that was a workflow we used, but we are trying to evolve our workflows, and we think that in the moment, this is holding us back. So in the issue, I talk a little bit more, and I'm asking the team to provide some feedback, but we're looking to turn this off next week in AMER. Do it for 2 weeks. Look at our data. We have a couple of gut checks that we can use to test and validate and verify. So we feel very confident that we could turn NRT SLA off for AMER region tickets for 2 weeks, or however long we need in that period, right? If it was 2 days and we saw a massive tank, we turn it back on and everything else should work. But in that 2-week period, if things stay relatively stable, can we extend and understand and maybe expand out, right? So that's something that we're excited about. And we think this will be a big positive impact for the support engineer experience, right? As an engineer, this is going to reduce the amount of clocks you're seeing that are forcing you to make decisions and give you the opportunity to be flexible. Now, with that comes responsibility, but I'm confident in our team, and I'm confident that we can deliver. So we're excited to see what happens there. And the issue that I linked at the top, the slide before, covers it, and it will be on this last slide as well. The other thing I heard from managers, and Lyle heard as well, representing both of us here, is that the Slack channel is getting a little bit overwhelming with the bots. I've heard this from some support engineers as well. And we kind of are solving like 6 different problems right now. And that's okay. We experimented. And I want to make sure everybody knows we need to continue experimenting, but we also do need to make decisions. So in this moment, we are going to experiment one more time in AMER. And the idea is to make an AMER Slack channel for now that has 1 bot in it. So this doesn't affect other regions as we start to test this. Now, should that bot be new tickets? Should that bot be FRT about to breach, or no bot at all, right? So I've created an issue where you can go and you can vote, and I would love your vote. I want to implement this channel starting next week so that we can use that channel in AMER and see, does this help? And then if it does, we want to give that data to the other channels, other teams that say, hey, we use this bot alone was really helpful. See if that helps your team, right? And if it doesn't work, then maybe we deprecate the Slack channel, right? Maybe we just use support team meta. I'm not sure, right? We'll need to understand really what we need and then build the right thing. So this is an iteration that we want to try to give us space to explore and try to attempt to simplify. We've done a lot of explorations, and there's a couple different layers happening right now, and we think we need to simplify that. So this next idea came out where I'll share some of the experience that we've seen, and I developed the crew schedule, right? And I just went with a basic spread of skills and people and thought it was reasonably balanced. But what we've come to see over time is that some crews have 2 America engineers, America's East, and 3 America's West engineers. And just the interplay of that day may mean that those 2 East engineers have a very jam-packed morning fighting breaching FRTs, and then they might leave a small stack where then the West engineers come in and there's a stack that they're fighting, right? And it creates a little bit more stress, where my intention is to look at data over the last 12 weeks, confirm that we see a reasonably consistent curve week over week. And if we do, then on our peak days, whatever day it appears to be in the short-term trend, we'll say, let's see if we can purposefully build a team that works on the AMER East side and a team that works on the AMER West side to try and set us up for success, right? And this could be half-day crews. This could be, right? We have to figure out how to do that. I don't think we have enough people now to do AMER East and West crew every day. And I think some days may not need that, but we're going to try and target peak. And if that helps, and as we scale, then we scale that out. So that's something that I want to share here. And as I'm talking about this could influence scheduling. This could be difficult. I don't know, right? I'm going to continue to look at this, and we want to try and roll this out. This was something that managers shared. They said the experience inside of crew day by day can vary so much depending on where people are in the crew. And that is something that we're trying to smooth out. We want to make more consistent and make it easier for crew members to collaborate, right? And if somebody is coming in and working alone or with one other person in the morning and responsible for 20 tickets as it was this morning, and the rest of their crew doesn't arrive till lunchtime, that can be very stressful. So I want to acknowledge that and see if we can reshape that. So then we get to the last one, which is a really abstract challenge and is difficult to codify, right? It's easy to say, but difficult to codify, right? Managers brought up the idea that sometimes there's hard tickets, and sometimes it's hard to get help on hard tickets. Every support engineer knows this. We felt this before, and our team is really solid. I want to own that. I think we do a really good job of supporting each other, but that doesn't mean that we all have an experienced here asking for help and getting crickets, right? I'm not going to pretend like that hasn't happened. And so here we want to acknowledge that this happens and see, can we get more seniors to engage on these tickets? Can we get an easier way to identify those tickets or that specific ask or tag them in an appropriate way so that we get them reviewed, right? And we potentially swarm them, right? That's a technique or a style that we've heard before, that you may have heard of. So that's something that we could consider. But at the moment, this one is the most experimental, but it came out of the manager discussion, and the managers were saying, we see this happen. Collaboration is something that's challenging on these challenging tickets. So how do we make that better? And we're opening that question. Like I said, this one's the most abstract and the most difficult. So the others, more concrete and actionable and moving. This one, ideating, understanding, we'll be exploring, and I look forward to your input on that. So with that, I wanted to end on this last slide again to share the team to know. And if you're an engineer, is this the pain points that you think you're feeling? Balancing FRT and NRT, right? And you might think we're insane by just ripping out NRT and AMER, but I want to make it clear that we're trying to build a better environment and trying to make sure that we're focused on the right things. NRT has helped us in the past, but we don't think it's part of our future vision. We're trying to figure out how we evolve that to create more flexibility. The Slack crew channel and the bots there, we're trying to evolve that. We're thinking about crew composition, trying to evolve that. And we're trying to think about collaborating as well as a team and make sure that we're evolving that. So look forward in the next few weeks as we explore these options, barring any extreme negative feedback that says for some reason we can't do it because of other things, right? I'm looking for that. So if you have that, share that immediately. Otherwise, in the next week, you should start to see the crew channel forming, a new crew schedule being made and then implemented in a few weeks' time, and then FRT and NRT, the NRT clocks in America being adjusted. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise them on those issues. Look forward to that. And if these aren't the problems that you're feeling as an engineer, bring it to a skip level, tell myself, tell Lyle. We want to make sure that we're solving them, but we felt fairly confident that this was a good sampling of what engineers were experiencing and what managers have seen, and we're confident that we could start to address them. So looking very forward to doing this, working together as a team, using the helping hierarchy to help each other solve these problems. And as we continue to evolve more, work with your managers, work with your crew manager, work with the manager that manages your team, and let them know what's on your brain, because we should continue to make sure we're helping each other solve the stack of problems that we have. Thanks all. Appreciate your time. Check out those issues, engage, and look forward in the next week, because I'm looking forward to turning off those NRT clocks and exploring that crew channel. Peace.